Hey everyone, welcome back to the range. My name is Matt, also known as the Armor Wizard. Zap, and we have a viewer donated piece of body armor today. Vlad Pooty from Reddit donated this in full transparency with no strings attached to do with as I please. This particular panel is from Blackbeard Protective Products. This is their level 3+ model. You can see it's multi-curve. It's got very nice, sexy curves there. This particular panel weighs 4 pounds 13 ounces or 2.183 kilograms for those across the pond. It is approximately 1.04 inches thick, or again, for those across the pond, 26.45 millimeters. Now, if you're a long-time follower, you know what's coming next, a long-winded speech. Over here on my channel, we do things completely different than almost everyone else on YouTube. I'm here to give you guys as much data as possible while maintaining as many protocols as I can out here at the range. You know, we're sighting on the information side while still trying to offer a little bit of entertainment to go with it. Since this is rifle armor, we shoot at 45 feet. That is the official NIJ testing distance. We also shoot at 0 degrees because that represents worst case scenario. If you take away anything from my channel, we want to know worst case. If we stop M193 out of a 22-inch barrel going 3,400 feet per second at 45 feet, there is likely a, you know, there's always a chance, but the likelihood of it penetrating at 200 yards is about 0. We also use a chronograph whenever possible, a Procon Pal Digital DLX. We also use a giant clay briefcase filled with Roma Plastilina #1 clay donated by Chavant. That acts as our compressible media that we put the body armor up against. Now, the NIJ heats that clay up and then they certify it with dropping a ball, and that's a lot of additional time that I don't have, and we use a little heating box to heat our clay up, although when it gets to summertime I don't think we're going to need it. So we're just looking at a representation of what back face could be, and it's a giant little solid structure to put our panel up against. Now, this employs a ceramic strike face. I do detect that it has drop face foam protectant. Per the NIJ, we've gone ahead and dropped it on its face 2 times. After we've done our drop test, we mark a DT and a check mark on our plate, and we also apply a torque test. That's where I grab the opposite ends of the panel and try to apply pressure to it to listen for any cracks, and if there are none, we mark that with a TQ, and we didn't hear any on this particular plate. Again, as a reminder, I am not an NIJ lab, so if you see me stop a threat or a threat penetrates over here against this particular panel, you should always defer to the manufacturer to have an accredited NIJ lab perform a laboratory test against that threat. And the flip side, if you're a manufacturer and you see me stop some weird, insane threat at a higher velocity than what you have rated, you should send that off to an accredited lab and have that denoted as a special threat on your particular panel. And finally, we put a spreadsheet here at the beginning that we kind of foreshadow all of the threats that we're going to shoot at it. We mark all of our penetrations and velocities if we're able to collect them, and we do a teardown in the end, and we send you on your merry way. Another day, another dollar. As always, sometimes I record introductions beforehand and then I run out of time, and it's been a few weeks since I made the introduction for this, and a little bit of more information has come to light thanks to some more fellow Redditors. They have talked to the manufacturer, and this particular plate was designed for a bid for the US SOCOM plate, similar to that LTC that I tested a little while back. And the seller said that this plate should stop some pretty gnarly stuff like M80A1 and even M60A1 AP or our P80 black tip in 308. We're going to start off with 5.56 and then work our way up to those threats. Hopefully we have enough of this plate to do it. So we're going to be a little conservative on some of the number of shots. But we've got M855, that is a 62 grain full metal jacket with a conical steel penetrating tip. We have M193, that's a 55 grain full metal jacket. Its claim to fame is lots and lots of speed, known for penetrating steel body armor. Then we have M855A1, that is the U.S. Army's current issue ball round all the way down to basic. It is the enhanced performance round. It's got a copper core with a hardened arrowhead steel penetrating tip. We've got our TC compass here. This is a 22-inch barrel, turbo 5.56, so we're looking at maximum potential rear wheel velocity here. We only have one plate of this. Another Patreon supporter was going to donate a pair of them, but we didn't make it in time, so we'll see how far we get. So the M855 will be first.
And I'll place that in the upper part of the plate. Good velocity. And I'll put this one right next to it. We'll go a little higher. Oh, got a hard primer there. That one was a little high. M193. We'll place on the next line. Hard primer day today, folks. Good velocity off that guy. Now the A1, we'll go on the same line. And then this will be right on the A of handle with care. Nice. Given the current world climate and the conflicts that are abroad, I figured this would be a good threat profile for this plate. This is 5.45 by 39 millimeters. This is a Russian caliber. I do believe, what, 1970s when it was introduced. The original variant is 7N6, 52 grain with a B scale on the Rockwell scale hardness penetrator. It's a little conical penetrator, doesn't really have a sharpened tip. This is 7N6M or modified. This is, I think, early 90s Bulgarian. This was donated by the Mabel Morris Small Arms Research Institute. My buddy Andy sent these over. The bullet characteristics are exactly the same as 7N6, except the penetrator has been hardened to around 59/60 on the C scale. We have an SSG 82 here. This has almost a 24-inch barrel. Not a whole lot of these exist worldwide. I think 2,000 were made. Only 600 made it in the US. Very interesting little gun. Feeds from a box magazine. .31-72. And then this one I'll put on the other extreme bottom of the plate. Right hand side, I should say. Nice. We got all of our shots on our plate. Some of these were intentional edge shots. M855 shots number 1 and 2. Then our M193 shot number 1 was right there. We had a hard primer, so we didn't use any more M193. Our M855A1 number 1, 2, and 3 right there. Then our 7N6M shots number 1 and 2. Helper hand. Hey, no pass through, folks. There's some little dimples on the back side of our plate, but nothing to write home about. I hopefully saved enough of this plate that we can play with some nasties on here. Now, since I only have one of these plates, we really can't go to town on all the special threats, because at a certain point you degrade enough of the strike face that there isn't any there for the bullet to get stopped by, and we may be cutting it close on this. But I have 2 308 threats that we're going to shoot at it, and if they survive, maybe we'll try a third. I have M80A1, that is the Army's current issue ball round in 7.62 NATO. It's very much constructed like M855A1, has a copper core and a larger hardened arrowhead steel tip. It's 130 grains. And then we have one of my personal favorites. This is M14A1 API armor piercing incendiary, 152 grains. This is from 30-06. We bought a bunch of these pulled, and we've been loading them in 300 Blackout, 300 Win Mag, and 308. I like them because they make lots of flash. We'll take that shot second. We'll take the M80A1 shot first. This is a 22-inch TC compass. We don't have a can on there. We should see around 3,000 feet per second from the M80A1. We'll put this one probably where it says with, like handle with care. $29.54. All right, now Mr. Flash. We're gonna put this one the bottom of the plate. Nice.
Let's go see what we did. So much fire, so satisfying.
All right, our final two shots are our M80A1 right here. That's quite a bit a ways from other hits on our plate, and our M14A1 API was down there. We are 2 inches from the edge. I'd consider that a fair hit. Helper hand. Place those bets in the comments below. Ruh-oh, R.A.N.G.E. We have a penetration from the M80A1, but the API was stopped. Now, like I said, Laddie Poot donated one of these panels. It would have been nice if maybe we can get a hold of Blackbeard and they can send a couple more if we can try the M80A1 again. Maybe we need to go down to the 16-inch barrel, but fairly impressive. There is a little bit of backface on the M14 API. If I had to measure that and give you a guesstimation, 53 millimeters. And again, usually when we get towards the outer edge of the plate, you see more backface, like our 5.56 thread up here, 22 millimeters, and that's even on the edge. Very, very controlled backface from what we can see. 9 millimeters there, so nothing to write home about. I'd like to put a 308, another 308 shot of regular M80 ball on this plate, but I think at this point it's compromised enough that it would just be for shits and giggles at that point. All right, here comes a fan favorite, the teardown, where we get to look at the inside of these plates as best as we can, tear them down to see what they're made of. Here is our backer. Our confirmed only penetration was the M80A1. The M14A1 API did almost penetrate. We'll get to that in a second. This is a foam backer, very high density, around 260 thousandths thick, very squishy. Looks like it helped control backface. In my personal opinion, I would rather see this no more than 1/8 of an inch in overall thickness, and then I like to replace that extra thickness with polyethylene because that helps control any rounds that may get through, which is where we're going with that. Here is our backer, polyethylene. You can see the M14A1 broke this last layer, couple layers here, but there is the penetrator. I will just denote that on the spreadsheet with a little indication that it almost poked through. We would, again, need a fresh plate to probably put some more spaced out shots to see if we really could stop it. It does appear pressed, although the energy from it is starting to separate it. We measured that right around 315 thousandths. Seems to be pretty good ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. Now our ceramic strike face has seen better days. We still have a good solid portion right here in some different areas. I measured that to be right around 330 thousandths. It looks to be silicon carbide. It's the grayish material. Without the vendor actually telling us what it is, I can't distinguish out here in the field between boron carbide and silicon carbide. It looks like there is a laminating layer here, which is good for keeping the strike face intact for multiple shots. As you can see, a majority of the parts of the plate where we didn't shoot are still there. And then finally up front, we have another high density foam layer for our drop face protectant right at 140 thousandths. Probably would be beneficial in my opinion to put this in the back and add more layers to the polyethylene. But there you have it, folks. I just wish I had a second one of these to do some follow-up AP threat testing.
Well, I don't know about you all, but if I was looking at picking up a 5.56 rated plate plus our 308 protection and you were trying to keep the weight and cost down, this Blackbeard Protective Products plate was no slouch. We stopped all of our 5.56 threats, even our specialty 7N6M threat. Now our M80A1 and our API those are probably pushing the envelopes for this plate design, at least after we took all those other shots on it. Sometimes that's the downside of only having one plate for us to demo. You know, after the first shot, technically the structure of the plate is compromised, although, you know, ceramic plates are certainly multi-hit capable. If you'd like to see me do a follow-up with this plate against some more of those AP threats in 308s, let me know in the comments below, and we'll try to contact Blackbeard Protective Products and see if they're more than willing to send one of these plates out. I don't recall the cost right this second for these plates, but I do believe they were under $220 each. So given that this is a silicon carbide plate that was built for a US SOCOM contract, I'd say that's a very, very good deal. With all that being said, it's time for me to get the heck out of here because it's actually Father's Day and we're gonna go home and have some burgers and it's movie night. But at the end of all my videos, I take a moment to thank all those who help make these possible because there's a lot that goes into these. Number one is my Patreon and Subscribe Star followers. I have a link tree in the description below. There's various different ways to either contact me or support me. A lot of my cost here on my channel comes from buying some of this obscure ammunition. You know, M855A1 is like $3 a round. Some of those AP threats are $5, $6, $20, $30, $40, $50 a round. So it gets very expensive to do some of this, but I enjoy providing as much content and information as possible so you guys can walk away with more confidence in the plates that you buy. Number two is Vladdy Poot, who in full transparency sent us that plate from Blackbeard Protective Products with no strings attached. And of course, number three is you all for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you at the range.